All right, now I'm a little bit tired from last night's Einstein lesson, so let's talk about dating. Thank God. No, it's not. It's not that it's light, but
Elon's amazing.
It is. It really is. So let's talk about your business. Let's talk first about your history as a CEO. I know you don't want to talk about this a lot, but I'm not going to go over all the various things, but you've been through a lot in a very short career as a CEO. Talk a little bit about mistakes, because I think mistakes were made is another panel that's coming up. And what have you learned from your various being CEO, then not being CEO, now you're CEO again? Talk to me about like what it's like to be a young entrepreneur and learning on the job training.
I feel like I've learned so much. I don't even know where to begin. Look, I think there's no playbook to being a CEO. Mm-hmm. It's hard, and every CEO, every company has challenges along the way. Particularly, mm-hmm. I'm young and I'm learning a lot. I think for those of you who don't know, I was a while ago I was fired as CEO and asked to take another role in the company, and then a few months later asked to come back. Mm-hmm. And I was talking about this recently at a commencement. I say this a lot. Being fired was one of the hardest things that ever happened to me, but it was also one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Do you think you deserve to be fired for what you did?
You know, I think I'm learning, and the board felt that we needed someone who's a little more experienced, and, mm-hmm. and I felt like I needed the help as well. So it wasn't really being fired; it was really taking another role. Mm-hmm. But
I like that. Well done there.
Well, what I got out of it, I'll say that the two most important things that sort of made me who I am, that I got out of it. Number one, when you lose the title, you sort of have to ask yourself what's important. Mm-hmm. And for me, I realized the title doesn't matter, the credit doesn't matter. Like what mattered was that I get to wake up every day and work on something that I love and with people that I love, and I love Tinder. And the second thing is, I think particularly when you're young, like you imagine that a leader has all the answers. So there's a lot of pressure being at the helm of a fast-growing company, and I felt a lot of pressure every day, and I didn't have all the answers, and I wasn't perfect. Mm-hmm. But when I was fired, I no longer felt that pressure. I was able to let go, and people still came to me and asked questions and asked for guidance, but instead of feeling like I had to know the answer, I was able to say, I don't know, let's go figure it out together. And in a weird way, not being the CEO is exactly what helped me learn what it means to be a CEO, which is, my job is to chart a course and assemble a team who each have their strengths and weaknesses, but together we can get there, right? And help the company understand what should we do, what shouldn't we do, and be a partner with the executive team and the rest of the people at the company. So I think I'm better as a result of some of the challenges I've had to face.
So talk about being a CEO again, because I've seen several interviews with you since you CA where you say just about anything, which is, I don't want to compare you to Donald Trump, but boy, does stuff come out of your mouth.
Oh, please don't.
Okay, but you really do. You sort of talk about anything. You talk about dating, you talk about people on Tinder, you talk about people who are Tindering at you. I just have the correct way to say it. I'm sorry, I'm 100 years old.
No, you got it right. Look, I have learned that I'm pretty good at talking about Tinder. Mm-hmm. I suck at talking about myself. Okay. But it's not surprising because right. I think about Tinder every day. It's what I love to do. It's so much of who I am. Mm-hmm. And outside of that, particularly outside of that, I'm still growing. I'm young. Mm-hmm. So I've learned a few lessons there.
Okay, good. Well, you're behaving very well right now. Sound like a mom. So let's talk about your structure right now. Again, it's unusual. You're operating on an unusual structure. What is the relationship between you and IAC now? Is it hard?
Match group.
Match group. I'm sorry. Match group. IAC is.
Yeah. We've now spun out into the match group. No, it's actually fantastic. Mm-hmm. So, they're a majority owner in Tinder. And it's amazing because I have a lot of freedom, and the team is really empowered to go build the company that we want to build. But there's so much experience and there's so much leadership there to help us. And everyone has mentors in life, but my mentors, Greg Blatt was the CEO of the Match Group. Like, he's there by my side, which is awesome. And
but although you are the bomb there, like what is happening in Match Group is not the other stuff; it's your stuff.
no, I think there's a successful business around Tinder, but Tinder is definitely the one of the most exciting parts of it. And we're a young company, so we're scaling really fast. And we have challenges. Some challenges the Match Group has already seen, so I get to benefit from that learning. And some challenges are new, and we're figuring out.
Are you
together.
able to develop quickly enough within an organization? You've always been you've had an unusual compared to other startups. Usually startups, they're private, then they go public or they get bought. But you were started as an incubator, essentially.
Yeah. No. Of course, I've been able to grow up. And
do you regret doing it that way? Do you
No.
feel?
No. I think one thing I'm learning is it's kept us disciplined, and Tinder's a very successful, healthy business, and that part of that came from the culture that was built at IAC, that was built at Match Group, that a lot of the cultural values that the founding team that I embody. And you have that support system, so we're better as a result. Of course, there are areas where we need to figure out on both sides, how to sort of provide freedom to sort of more entrepreneurial-minded people at the company. But at the same time, I mean, look, we are where we are, and I think part of that is as a result of the environment we had around us.
So doing it differently is not something that you would.
I mean, I'm sure everyone looking back would say I would do 100 things differently, but I'm so happy with where we are right now.
So let's talk about the business. Tinder is profitable?
Tinder is, we just crossed 1 million paid users. We have a very successful subscription business. We don't say too much beyond that, but I'm very happy with where the business is.
So profitable? Is that?
We're part of being a public company, as you
Okay.
we don't.
All right. So you make money. You have 1 million subscriptions. People pay for the premium version, essentially. Where does that go from there? Because the only thing you can do is grow, correct? Only more and more people using the subscription service. And you've got a group of people that come in and out of it. Come in and out. They're dating, they're not dating, or if someone likes to date a lot, I guess they're on it a lot.
So the core Tinder product is free, and it'll always.
No, I get that.
But we have a set of features that give you special powers that you don't need, but you might want on Tinder, and that's in our Tinder Plus package. And we're continuously iterating there, and we're adding to the offering. In addition to that, we've been working on advertising for the last year. We've been experimenting, and I think we arrived at a great user experience for our users, and we're providing a lot of value to our advertising partners. So now it's about
explain
scaling.
advertising. I can't imagine. Again, I don't use the product, but and also you're live on it when you're using it. I tried it once when Barry Diller called me and said, "Look at this one thing," and I went on it, and I'd been so used to Match and OK, and it was the beginnings of it. And I put it on, and I realized I was live on Tinder, and I was dating people, like suddenly, which was problematic at the time. And so it was fascinating. So I was like, it was interesting. I got a lot of goth women in the Mission and men in Oakland, which was odd. I felt that was odd. And I was swiping the wrong way. Anyway, it was a bad experience all around for me. But nonetheless, I couldn't imagine advertising in that environment. And what do you have, condoms or what?
No. Look, you're people who are on
Viagra.
Tinder. What we're about is making introductions.
Right.
And people are coming to Tinder because they want to meet new people, and they're curious about what the possibilities are. I might make a friend. I might end up in a marriage. I might end up with a short-term relationship or a hookup, but there's so many possibilities that come out of Tinder, but fundamentally, it's about what could be. And users are there to discover new people, to discover new content. So it's a very friendly environment for ads. Advertising is very interruptive in a lot of other platforms. I expect to see X, and then brands inserts themselves into the experience. But on Tinder, it's like you sort of don't know what you're gonna see, and you're there to discover.
Right.
So what an ad looks like on Tinder is, as I swipe, I might see a card that is a video from a brand, and and I can swipe left if I don't like it, and I can swipe right if I like it. And you know, we're swiping right now means that you like the ad and allows us to show you more of such ads. But in the future, swiping right could lead to other actions that
So what works in advertising on a dating site? Because they've never had advertising on dating.
Well, we don't look at it as we don't look at our users as, you know, first of all, we don't look at ourselves as just a dating site. You know, we're about connecting people, making introductions. And just because our users are single doesn't mean that they don't have many facets of who they are. So we have a very engaged audience. You know, single users have more disposable income. They're sort of in a mindset where they're more open to discovering new brands, new things. So I think it's really about reaching our millennial audience, not about reaching a single audience. I mean, you can go to Facebook and target singles, but the engagement that's on Tinder, the passion for the product, the relationship with
So what works
people
in
on
advertising when people are in a dating mode?
You know,
They
we're
are
still
doing something else. They're doing
yeah.
they
Well,
have a
look,
goal in that regard.
it's the same thing that works on Facebook or Snapchat, but you know, we encourage our advertisers to get creative and sort of speak to that millennial audience that's on Tinder.
Give me an example.
You know, we did a fun campaign early on. This is one of our tests with the show Suits, which is one of my favorite shows, and you can swipe right, match with one of the characters, and get a message from the character. And we had different characters. You know, we've partnered with Dentine Ice and Orbitz, and they had fun. You know, they had their own campaigns, and they tailored them to the Tinder audience, and they made them, you know, more funny, more edgy. So, you know, and we're just getting started. It's like the first inning, but like this year is all about scaling advertising.
And how big a business is that now?
The majority of our business right now is subscriptions, but you know, we're really starting to fuel advertising, build an organization around the products that we've built. So it's, you know, we're just getting started.
So let's talk about your business, the subscription business, and more that you want to be more than a dating. You keep saying I'm more than a dating site, but people think of you as a hookup site, really. I mean, a dating/hookup site. What do you mean you're more?
Well, you know, I don't.
You're not Facebook.
No. We're about making introductions. That's what we believe in. I mean, we started this company because relationships are powerful. It's what builds everything around us. And we want to be the place, you know, we want to connect people and you know, we don't want to judge what happens after. Let them figure out where they go. And there's friendships that happen, connections. People travel and they use Tinder to match with locals and figure out where to go, what to do. But for us, there's really two things that we think about. One is we have this global, massive audience. So we need to think about how can we take this product that's being used by, you know, people, someone who uses Tinder in Los Angeles uses it very differently than in India, and there's different cultural nuances. So now it's about building that international footprint, tailoring the product to every individual market. We hired, you know, Derek Calla just joined us, he's running international, and like we joke, our goal is that, you know, we want people to feel like in India that Tinder was invented by a few friends down the street, not by a company in Los Angeles. The second thing, you know, going beyond one-on-one romantic connections is we think a lot about how people connect in groups. You know, Tinder's been very successful at introducing me to someone one-on-one, and you know, a lot of things can come out of that connection. But a big part of who I am is I go out with my friends. A lot of the one-on-one connections at Tinder result in groups of friends hanging out. And Tinder Social, which we just launched in Australia,
I've seen this,
is just about that. It's about
if I get this straight, Tinder Social is you form groups, and then you meet other groups like gangs or something.
Yeah, if you're going out with your friends,
right?
You know, we might be hanging out.
No.
And well, you'll never know. And we're friends.
No. I like you.
I like you too.
Okay.
So if I'm going out with my friends, I can see what other groups of friends are out. There's a section where you can say what you're doing and where you're going, and I can swipe right. And if the group swipes right on me, then we're in a group chat and we can communicate.
So that's groups of people that don't know each other. correct?
These are people who don't know each other. Now, you might find one of your friends in the other group, right? It's no different than, when we go out, we're socializing in groups. I might show up at a friend's party with, my two friends. Doesn't mean I don't know people at the party. I might be acquainted with them, I might know them, but who you're with says a lot about who you are. So for us, it's about
What I saw was literally groups hooking up with groups.
Matching with groups and going out and figure. I mean, it's going well in Australia. It's a big feature for us, so we've got to get it right, and we're going to start rolling it out globally soon.
And what about other social? I mean, you're calling it Tinder Social, correct?
Yes.
And so it's not just groups. It's again, is one-on-one friendships. Is there a way to?
No, I think it's more about thinking about how.
I mean, does it always have to have a dating aspect to it or a relationship?
No, and Tinder Social isn't just about dating. You going out with groups, you
increase your chances,
groups.
But okay, all right.
You increase because you might meet someone hang out with your friends, and someone in the group might catch your eye, and that might lead to a one-on-one relationship. But no one walks into a bar or a restaurant or friend's house and says, "Oh gosh, like, who should I go out with right now?" You just are who you are. That's why on Tinder, unlike some other apps, like, you don't have to fill out a resume when you walk in. You just are who you are, and you build a connection, and you have an initial impression based off someone's body language, the common friends you share, and everything. And then what ensues is conversation.
But you're not trying to put together friendships. You're not the friendship.
Not explicitly. We're trying to connect people. We're trying to connect groups, and many things
meaning a more
can result
benign
out
part
of
of Tinder, because I think it would be hard to create. Tinder is known for, it has a dating brand, you know what I mean? It just does. People think about it that way.
Well, it's a lot of, meeting new people, a lot of it has to, one of the biggest motivations behind making new connections is because you're looking for a partner in life. Or whether you want to admit it or not, emotionally, you're looking for someone to share with and to grow with. So I think, that motivation is behind a lot of.
So let's talk about that brand. So I like that, meeting people to grow with. That's not the image that you have.
Well, look, I think
what I'm asking about is there's been a lot of stories. You all got angry at the Vanity Fair story about how people behave. I'll be honest with you, I have a young son who's moving into dating life, and I'm worried about the way people interact online with each other. He met his first girlfriend on Snapchat, which disturbed me because I thought it could be some guy some older guy in another town. I didn't know who. It was sort of fascinating. I was a little nervous about it, and because I'm a nervous mother. But how do you think your brand's been portrayed? Like that Vanity Fair story, which was not positive. It was sort of an ugly, sort of hookup, degrading kind of culture.
I think it's easy to look at one type of connection that comes out of Tinder and one dimension of people in this world, right? And I think that article sort of focused on a part of society. I think it's hard to say that reflects society as a whole. And people want different things, and you're at different ages and different stages of your life, you're going to make a connection go in different places. If right now I'm older and I'm looking for something more serious and a more meaningful connection, and anyone I meet, that's where it's going to go, or else I'm not going to waste my time. So I think what matters is how our users perceive our brand. And
how do you think they perceive it now?
Has
that changed? Because it was that sort of fast, the way it was started on campuses.
Yes.
Hey, fun, sex, fun.
Because it was a younger audience that was on
Right.
Tinder, and that audience is now older. Those connections have resulted in marriages. For every article that focuses on one part, there's an article that focuses on the more serious part of Tinder. Even New York Times last week wrote an article about all the marriages that are happening on Tinder. We've made 11 billion connections. Even if those connections are benign, many of them are going to lead to life-altering connections. I get inundated every day with people thanking us for getting married on Tinder or meeting their best friend or whatnot, and that's a beautiful thing.
Okay,
we
let's
take pride in that.
finish up by talking about new applications of doing this, because you also have AI. We're not going to. You guys have a lot of. You know what people are doing and how data science where it's going. What are you going to do with all that data? Because you have you know their texts, you know their connections, you know quite a bit about them. And then secondly, what does Tinder look like in the age of VR?
Great question. So it's a challenge that the bigger we get, and we have tens of millions of users across the world, choosing who to show you when you open the app, because you have a limited amount of time, becomes an increasingly bigger challenge. So we have a wonderful team that focuses on solving this problem every single day. And in fact, we were talking about this yesterday. We want every single person on Tinder to get a quality match, and that is a hard problem to solve. And for example, there's a very important transgender community on Tinder, and for a long time we haven't done enough to give them a good experience.
What's happened? Explain.
Well, I think they would match with individuals on the app, and it's harder for them to find what they're looking for because right now you can only be a male or female on Tinder.
Right.
But I think people identify in different ways. So we're working with GLAAD and other organizations to figure out how we can modify the experience.
So what happens? What happens when they can't identify? When they can't get the?
I think unfortunately, a lot of transgender users get reported by other users because users think they're bots or fake, or they don't understand what to make of it, and they're not able to specify what they're looking for. So we have to modify the experience to address that. We want all of our users to find a quality connection. So in about a month or two, we're going to launch enhancements to the app that solve this for the transgender community, which I think it's not only good for the Tinder community, but it's also the right thing to do, period, for the world. I think let people be who they are.
And that would mean so you have more designations beyond.
Yes.
You could do.
Yes, and you can sort of specify more accurately what you're looking for instead of
and who you are.
And who you are.
Right, and so that rolls out when?
I think in about a month and a half, we're going to launch a set of features that improve the experience for the transgender community. And then beyond that, to answer your question, we constantly are modifying the algorithm, and not, we have 11 billion matches, so we know a lot about what creates a match, and then we feed that back into sort of our general understanding. But we also tailor the algorithm to every individual, and I think VR is very early. We're in like the first inning,
imagine a Tinder experience on VR.
Well, it's funny. John, my partner John, he's sort of thinking about these crazy experiences, and there are some fun things you can do. Ultimately, what's important to us is that whatever digital experience you get results in a real world connection. That's what Tinder's about. We want to build products that get you out into the world with people experiencing something. And I think it's early with VR. If that becomes I think it will become a mainstream platform. The question is, how are people utilizing it, and what are the social norms developed around AR? But if it's something that is part of the everyday psyche, then we're definitely going to deliver the Tinder experience there.
Would you date completely in a VR setting?
No. I think you can meet and converse to a degree on a VR setting, but at the end of the day, nothing replaces this. Nothing replaces human
That's not
connection.
True, according to Elon Musk. Just so you know, I mean, we could have games so realistic. That was he was talking about, is that you don't even know you're in a game.
Yeah, we're potentially in the Matrix.
Right. No, we are.
We are. Yeah.
Whatever base reality is.
Yeah, that blew my mind.
I know. But okay, not VR, but AR. Could there be Tinder glasses? Like you go into a place and you go tick tick tick, like you can sort of like the Terminator, where you look and can see people and who they are. Do you imagine that happening?
I think what's great about Tinder, so the way we always envision Tinder is that we're adding a layer on real life that doesn't exist. If I see a girl in the room that I might want to talk to, I'm probably shy to walk up to her. I might get rejected. But what Tinder allows me to do is kind of give her a glance, a silent look, and if she reciprocates, then maybe there's a connection. What excites me about AR, that was the founding sort of idea behind Tinder. That was what excites me about AR.
So Tinder glasses, essentially.
Well, think about providing another layer of information. You know, when I look at you, if I can then, just like I can in Tinder, know who our common connections are, or understand another part of you that you want to display, I can now make a better, more accurate assessment of whether or not we should connect. And if I had tools to react to that allow me to, you know, break the ice, you can create more connections in the world.
I see you like chihuahuas. Like
or maybe I swipe right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you pursuing those? Are you doing?
It's early. You know, we toy around with a lot of things, but you know, we have higher priority things that we're working on first. You know, I think we'll start probably exploring it in a year and a half as these platforms mature. It's way too early right now.
Okay. Questions from the audience for Sean? Anybody? Questions? Dating questions? Anyone? Questions? All right. I'm just going to ask a couple more. Oh wait.
I got a question here. Hi, Stephen Levy at Back Channel. So we ran a story last year about dating sites that are founded by women, including one who was a co-founder of Tinder there. And I think the assumption, you know, of the writer, it wasn't me, was that these sites actually work better for women because women found them, they understood this. She says, if you were a male entrepreneur approaching the problem of online dating from your point of view, the goal would be to provide male users with more women. We didn't hear from you folks.
That is such a, look, I think Tinder, it's a very naive way of looking at the world. I think Tinder is fundamentally better for both men and women because it's a safer environment to meet. You know, before, if you're sort of in a room, anyone can walk up to you, anyone can invade your space. And on Tinder, you control who gets to communicate with you. And that was the founding principle of Tinder, which I think is, you know, better for both men and women, especially better for women. And, you know, I pride ourselves in the fact that we have a very diverse team. You know, we have a global audience of tens of millions of users. There's no way we would be where we are if we did not actively think about every part of our audience, you know, women, men, transgender, you know, there are many people in this world and different types of people, and we think about all of them. I think secluding us to one is not a good idea, and you know, we believe me, there have been conversations every day. We'll have fascinating conversations about how we can better tailor the Tinder experience to different parts of our user base.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
So last question. Any more questions from the audience? Do you imagine doing other things besides moving on as your audience moves on, or facilitating real world? Like Harvey Levin talked about tours. You don't do get-togethers. Have you done a lot of that, or is there a business in that for you?
Yeah, we've thought about sort of helping our users discover experiences around them.
Airbnb's been doing that.
Yeah,
with the idea.
We've given it a lot of thought. I think Tinder Social, a big part of it is specifying where you're going, what you're doing, and who you're doing it with. And I think when you go out, a big part of where you decide to go is who's there. Are there people there that share my interests, that share my passions? And you know, before we answer what to do, we want to answer who to do it with. And before we answer where to go, we want to answer the question of where people are that you want to socialize with. And then we might take the next step and help.
Last question, dating in 25 years, what is that going to look like?
I have no idea. I mean, I don't presume to know what it'll look like in 25 years. What I do know is that I hope Tinder is still creating, you know, connections that would have otherwise never existed in 25 years, and that we're able to create more connections in this world. Because, you know, I think the world's a better place the more people we know, the more people we meet, and the more we can empathize with others.
Great, Sean. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.